Just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in. That's from The Godfather 3. That's an old movie. And so what I'm talking about is the good old model car collecting. My channel is turning into a Gundam channel because I pretty much have all the cars I wanted, but I pre-ordered this a long time ago. This is the, well, it actually says right here, supposedly, the 330P4 from the 24 Hours of Daytona of 1967, and this is the second place finisher. It actually has stats here. It's got the 6-liter V12. No, it's not a 6-liter. I don't know what that says. I thought that was 6.0. V12 of 330 cc's. Oh, I see. It is a 6-liter. Each cylinder is probably 333 cc's, which is why it's called a 330. And then the power is around 450 horsepower, and it'll go around 320 kilometers per hour. There's only around 200 of these particular models with this number on it. I believe they actually did have the winner of Daytona, the number 23 car, and we'll have to get to that. I ordered this so long ago, I don't even understand why I would order the second place car instead of the first place car. But I have some theories. Before we open this model, let's do a quick little... I found this article here, you know. So in 1966, Ford with their GT40 totally dominated racing. They destroyed everyone. And so Enzo was angry and came back with these cars. But they're not all 330s. This engineer here, only 2 330P4 cars were produced. And so these cars won. Ford actually entered 9 different Ford GT40s in there. 6 by the manufacturer and then 3 private entries. So they wanted to win, but Ferrari beat them. And then, yeah, here we go. So the 1, 2, 3 cars. So the first place car is a 330P3/4, and it's the number 23 car. It has no roof. It's a Spider, and it ran 4,084 miles. Then the number 2 car we're going to talk about today ran 4,066 kilometers. I'm sorry, kilometers, not miles. Is this right? How does this make sense? Look at these stats. How is 4,084 kilometers 2,500 miles here? But here is 4,000 kilometers is 6,500 miles here. So somewhere the conversion went wrong. We have to question these things. And then the third place car, which I thought was a 330, is not. It's called a 412P. And that thing ran... these numbers I think are reversed. Alright. So that's what's going on there. That's probably not the best source, but I don't have time. So here are my theories as to why I bought the wrong model. Almost all the photographs of this race show the number 24 car in the lead position. Not only this image, but there's black and white images, there's images from different angles. So I think maybe they were thinking the 24 car was going to win, whoever took all these photographs, but in the end, the number 23 car won. So that's, I think, the theory as to why I ordered the wrong vehicle. Yeah, see, here's another image. The 24 is leading. Maybe it's at a different angle. Oh well, we're going to go with the number 24. So this is by DMH, in case you didn't pick up on the title of this video. And let's see. Oh, I actually know there's a problem on this. I bought this locally. I pre-ordered it from my dealer, AB Mini Cars. I've done a video on their shop. It's quite good. And unfortunately, he didn't have any others. I was the only one that pre-ordered this, so I didn't have any options to look at other models. He ordered one, and I got the one that he ordered. But there's problems. Alright, anyway, this cap, yeah, it's kind of loose. So we do have a front photo of this 24 car racing at Daytona, I believe. Alright. And then the front photo here of the coupe. And so I don't think this car exists today. So this is a Spider. It's got number 7 on it, but I'm more concerned about the exhaust pipes in the rear end. So it looks like it's the same rear end. Alright, so you'll have to decide if that looks like the photos or not. not going to take this off the base. I don't want my fingerprints to touch this thing. The base is acrylic. That's acrylic glue. It's got 2 screws holding the thing. It's a resin model, meaning it's plastic, and that's why it's going to have much better details than any sort of thing made out of metal. So we got this nameplate here. I think it's just plastic printed on plastic with printing on it, and this is number 20 of those 199. But there might be a 0, a 000, so there could be 200 in reality. Alright, so there's the basic info. So I think it's nice that they give you this information so you can pick up the thing and you know what exactly you're holding in your hand. I don't know why a lot of brands skip the obvious, but they do. Let's start with the front end today. I'll get a better light. That's interesting. This 24 is surrounded by green. That's what my eyes are showing. I'm not sure what your monitor is going to show, but it's also kind of pixelated. Granted, this is 4 times magnification. To the naked eye, you'll never see that pixelation. But yeah, because it doesn't look good under this magnification. It looks kind of reminds me of Hot Wheels Premiums. It's like the blocks here. It's quite interesting. So, but yeah, there's no way you'll see that with your naked eye at half an arm's length away. Alright, well the headlights, we have these clear covers obviously, but there's actually different pieces representing the actual lights back there. And, sorry for the reflection, let's see, I think they're domed. Or not, maybe they're just flat metal. No, I feel like they're photo etched metal pieces with all these, light striations and stuff. But if we look at it from the side, I think there's a clear resin dome on them. Let's try from the top view. That's hard. Let me get a flashlight now. Maybe they are totally flat. I don't know. I still say I think they're domed, but it's hard to tell, even right in front of my face or right through this phone screen. Alright, well, I'm going to guess these 2 little things by the grill are ducts that go to the brakes, and there's some depth to them. I don't know what this would be. Oh, these are supposed to be ducts also, but they're just printed, I think, here, or painted. I'm trying to feel if there's a recess. I actually do think there's a slight recess there. Yeah, I felt it. So it's just black paint. Yeah, there's a recess for those little tiny vents. Alright, in this grill I'm seeing a texture. Sounds like plastic, it's not metal. That's fine, it's so thin and dark down there, it doesn't matter. But yeah, these headlights are nice. I like the graphic they got on them. And then I'm gonna guess those might be turn signals or just running lights, these tiny, tiny dots there. So these canards look like separate pieces, because this one it looks like it's either glue residue or maybe paint is chipped off. But that white is a little distracting. It's not there, so they could have done a better job. So we got this radiator up here in the front, painted silver, and decent enough details, no complaints there. You'll notice the paint, there's no orange peel or anything like that. I have a suspicion they either polish these after they paint them, or they just have really good painters, but I don't think I could ever do this that smooth of a finish. Or maybe it's a robotic painted process. Is this a fluid ejector, I would guess, this little bump there. Look at this windshield wiper, it's pretty nuts. It's multiple piece, I think, or it looks like 2 arms holding a blade perpendicular to the windscreen, and that blade has 3 lightning holes like a real wiper blade, right? So that's very 3-dimensional, very tiny, very thin, very precise. Alright, so we got these like bullet mirrors grafted or glued onto the fenders here, and yeah, then naturally they're gonna have a reflective sticker. You'll literally see a reflection in there. With the pick, come on. It's actually hard to do this. I don't know where the pick is because I'm looking at this through my phone. Alright, boy, this wheel, yeah, gold, nice. The knockoff there, it's stainless, I think, photo etched metal. It's so shiny. I guess that's a brake disc back there. You can see the circularness, and the caliper looks like it's at the like 10 o'clock position. Oh, that's way too bright, huh? Let's go down to 1 lumen. Yeah, I think that caliper is at the 10 o'clock position. It's just like a black caliper, which makes sense for a race car. So you got the Firestone printing, and the circle is actually round. It's concentric to the wheel. Very nice. The rear, same deal. So that's good. Now where's the caliper on the rear? Now I gotta say this rear wheel is not good. You see that in between the spokes where the air is supposed to be, like on the top 2 openings? The bottom 3 openings aren't actually passing air normally, like up here. There's extra plastic flash there. So that wheel should have been trimmed or never allowed to be part of this model. So, alright. These vents here, yeah, you can hear the ridges, so those are 3-dimensional. We got the sponsorship all nicely done. Is it on the it's under the clear coat. That's really cool. Yeah, if you look at this Prestone thing, I don't know if you can tell, but this toothpick is a distance above the Prestone, meaning that decal's under the clear coat. So that's fantastic. You don't get that in all resins. There's a tiny like photo etched piece of metal here, probably to open up this clamshell rear end, and it's got like little lightning holes etched in there. And then we have, I don't know what these 2 things are. Please leave a comment. It can't be a door handle, right? Because why would there be one there? Maybe this whole door is latched on with quick release fasteners. But these fasteners are sticking out quite a bit, actually. There's quite a bit of height to them. Alright. And then what is this thing? This is a giant block of silver hanging off the side of this thing. It's only on this side of the car also, but I'm sure that's specific to the number 24 car, because why else would they put that eyesore there? Look at this. There's a black in here, or maybe that's actual air passing there in this little vent. Very nice. And then maybe this is the door release. Is it a button? I don't know. Whoa, I just moved it though, so be careful. Yeah, I don't know what that is. Maybe that's a fuel filler cap. You know, that's where your fingers would grab it and twist it. But then what would these be? Hold on, where's my pick? Yeah, there's 2 of these, so I assume this might be the fuel filler cap. So any real aficionados of Ferraris, please leave some comments, because I'm sure the audience would want to know as well as me. Alright, well, the side windows, very nice. Photo etched pieces of metal on top of this tiny, thin, like packaging thin window. And then you have the sliding window, actually a separate piece, and it's open, so it's actually slid open and glued there. This might be why I bought the coupe. Yeah, because the convertible or the Spider just doesn't have any of these extra parts. And then this is nice, the actual window metal has etched rivet marks. So this is one of the coolest windows I've seen, you know. It's one, and there's also a blackout on the back side of the insulation or whatever, the rubber insulation. So a piece of plastic, another piece of plastic, and then 2 pieces of photo etched metal with actual rivet details. That's a cool window. It's really weird. I would even say that in my lifetime, but I have. Okay, so the windscreen here, looks like there's a black painted piece of metal for the exterior molding of this. You know, just to make this would be very difficult. I mean, somehow they managed to curve this piece of metal and have this piece of plastic glued to it with no seams. There's no gaps or anything like that. So I don't know if there's a fixture they used. I don't know if this plastic was vacuum molded beforehand and that's why it's curved so well. I don't know. Alright, let's continue on. So I don't know what these things... Oh, these are rivet marks for the rear wing, I'm assuming, because they're all over the wing. So they could have been lazy and easily just casted that into the plastic, you know, some divots. But no, they chose to actually glue on all these little pieces of metal. They're like chrome. They're very shiny. And yeah, they seem to be all over this wing. So that's very cool. And then obviously these are going to be three-dimensional, but unfortunately there's a little extra black paint there. Alright, the rear end. So this is the big eyesore that I saw when I inspected this at the shop. I mean, come on, man. Oh, look at that. I can fix it. Okay, never mind. This is going to go right back into the case. I'm never going to physically touch this thing again. So, worst case scenario is I could unscrew it and add some super glue way back there so I can't see the mess. Alright, so that's nice. But I do feel like DMH, they could have done a better job. Like if they glued these two tubes together, this wouldn't be doing this, right? But these tubes are all just glued at here. And that's it. Well, I guess I take that back because it is realistic to have this air gap, right? These are not straight tubes, as you'll see. This one's actually flared. And then this would be like the join and another join, like it's welded. Those are almost like weld marks, right? So this is actually one of the most, this is probably the most detailed exhaust I've ever seen, because I've never seen one with actual weld marks. That's actually very impressive. It's going way back up in there too. Yeah, that's a little sketchy. Right here, it seems like that's broken. What about the other side? See, it's, no, well, I am probably gonna have to take this off the base. I don't want that to fall off. Alright, well, we naturally are gonna have some clear taillights on a model this expensive. So these probably are reflectors. Maybe they're, well, they're just red on the rear photograph, so maybe it doesn't have backup lights at all, being a race car. And then there is orange here in the middle, so that's really nice. Alright, I gotta get the flashlight, but it looks like there's a grill back in this giant opening. Or that's a spare tire. Look at that. And there's, it looks oddly like human hair holding it down. Let me get a little 15 lumens. I guess it's supposed to simulate rope holding it down, but doesn't it look like someone's hair? Like a braided hair, Goldilocks or something? Oh, she had blonde hair, didn't she? Anyways, above the tire, there's some silver paint, so it's probably like an aluminum body on this car in the real world. But the treads are nice, you know, it's nice to see. That's an old school type of racing tread. You can see it on the back tires, the front tires as well. And so the rear tire does seem a bit wider than the front tire, you know, as it should. I don't know if it's wide enough though. It's hard to know, but I kind of feel like a race car wouldn't, well, if it only had 450 horsepower, so maybe that's what it had as far as the tire width. Just used to modern, you know, race cars, they're pretty much, they're running such wide tires. Alright, so these little, I'm gonna guess, rubber latches to hold the clamshell in place. This is very impressive. Again, I gotta actually get the flashlight on it and put back to 1 lumen. Look at the dimensionality of this. Hold on, I gotta hit the focus. I wish I had a third hand. I'd make a great pickpocket. Alright. Looks like there's like a, you know, a stainless part and then a black painted part, like it's a piece of rubber. That's insane. That's really impressive. I've never seen a latch, a multiple piece latch like that. Okay, moving on. There's some texture up in these tiny vents underneath the wing. Hold on, I gotta find my toothpick again. Okay, yeah, right in here. and the separation of color is so good. I'm guessing this black thing is like a little piece of plastic that they inserted. I wonder if there's one up in there. Hold on, I gotta actually raise the camera, I think, because this plinth is getting in the way as it touches the table. Yeah, I can't really tell if there's a grill in the middle part. Alright, so the printing, I don't know the significance of this, so any Ferrari experts please chime in. And hold on. It's really hard to do this because this is 4 times magnification, so I don't know where my hand is. I'm trying to only review this through my phone so it doesn't go out of focus. Yeah, that's totally smooth. This graphic is under the clear coat. It might even be tampo printed. I don't know if no, I think it is a decal. I can see like a ledge there. But or can I feel that? Hold on, I'm gonna just look at it with the naked eye. I can't see that ledge with my naked eye. So that's what makes me think it's under the clear coat. Yeah, if it was a decal on the surface, you would clearly see a decal on the surface. Wow, very cool. Alright, some more of those silver little dots. You'll notice now on this side there's actually like a separator or some sort of structural rib holding this vent detail. And it's pretty deep. I'm wondering, again, if this... Is this hollow? No, it's not. It's just part. It bottoms out. Okay. So this rear wheel is much better. Let's see if we can find the caliper on this. That's weird. I don't think there's a caliper on this rear wheel. Right? It looks just like a silver disc. I feel like that center cap knockoff is a little bit offset. It's not totally centered. Not by much, you know. Under 4 times magnification, I'm noticing these defects. The front wheel on this side, it has a little gold flash in there, so that's not good. I don't know if... I guess this has spoke covering the caliper. Maybe there are no calipers. Maybe it was just some random junk on that very first wheel. So you'll notice on the door of this one, instead of that weird giant block, it's gone, which is nice. And then these things that were on the other side, but now these are really tightly spaced, whereas on this side they're widely spaced. So that's I have no clue what those would be for. Please leave a comment if you know. And it's got that same little photo etch piece there. I'm now noticing there's a little vent right here. It just bottoms out. There's no paint in there. It's really small. I can understand. The Ferrari crest on this side. Okay, it looks like a horse. You can almost read Fram there. And this side window looks very nice. And then you'll notice that silver piece isn't on this side. And this side has this like recess. I'm not sure what that would be, but that recess is not on this side. On this side is more of a bump. So it's definitely an asymmetric vehicle. Bullet mirror looks good. I'm now noticing this, what I assume is a fuel filler, has a little divot there. Yeah, it is on this side actually also. Alright, so I'd say that's the exterior, and it's pretty darn good. You know, the exhaust was a little, worrisome, but I know I can fix that one pretty easily. But it's just a reminder that money will not buy you perfection in 1/64 scale models. It's very, very, very rare to have a perfect model in this scale. The challenge is to try to see that interior. Let me try through the side window since there's actually nothing in that sliding part. So, I've got a bunch of silver buttons there vertically stacked. The steering wheel itself looks like it has a Ferrari logo on it, so that's nice. Spokes are like silver color, but the wheel itself is black. I don't see an instrument cluster there, but maybe there isn't one there, being a race car. See, it's so shallow. There's like a big box holding that steering wheel on. But even though there's a bulged up instrument binnacle, there's clearly no space to have a gauge between that box and that binnacle. The seat's very nice. Look at that seat belt. Very cool. I'm going to assume that's photo etched metal. Yeah. And then the ribbing of the seat is nice, how it's painted red, but then the sides are painted black, and the seat belts themselves are black, and there's some slide buckles there, silver. Oh, the shifter there is on the bottom, or to the right of the steering wheel, but what is that big red thing covering it up? Hopefully we can see it from the other side. There's also a bunch of these silver dots on the dashboard. I don't know what those would be, but also you can see this bump underneath the the wiper blade, and maybe that's a gauge. The question is, no, I don't see anything on it. I wouldn't be surprised though if that bump was a tachometer. Seeing how it's pointed to the driver. Yeah, there is a rear view mirror. Okay, and it's offset, which makes sense. Alright. Now, I don't know if that passenger seat is the same size. I think it is the same size as the driver's seat. I would have guessed it would be a much smaller seat, a vestigial seat. Yeah, nice seat built again there. I'm trying to see to the other side in that gear shift area, but I cannot focus any further. All I can do is move the model closer to the camera. Oh wow, it did focus. Look at that. So I think that's a silver stick shift there. And then that red piece might just be like a piece of leather or something for the driver to rest his hand on when he's not shifting. And that's the armrest there to the right. So you'll notice the armrest there is just black, of course, but then the silver base of the shifter is quite far below. So it's almost like he's resting his arm on this black thing through the window slot, and then his hand can rest on that red pad, and then there's a very short distance to the actual shifter itself. Assuming this model is accurate to the real car, that's a pretty interesting. I like that design idea, where you can just kind of rest your hand and then shift the thing if you still want it, but your forearm is just resting. We can see some riveting there through the window opening now of the floor pan and the side wall. Well, I'm now trying to find a gas pedal, but I don't see them, which is fine. I mean, I don't know. Please leave a comment. Does anyone actually look at their models to this extent? Like, to the naked eye, you would never be able to look in there anyways, right? But I don't know if other people actually take these things, put them in front of a video camera or a magnifying glass, and then look at them. It looks like there's a recessed dial there next to those silver buttons. 2 of them, actually. Maybe those are gauges. It looks like there's actually something in that gauge. Like, I see 4 little horizontal dots, but correct me what you think. Maybe that's like an oil gauge right there, this top one. Nothing there on the passenger side of the dashboard. So that's pretty crazy. First of all, this rear window is horizontal mostly. It's not vertical. And yet you can see through it with clarity to the dashboard. So that's why these models cost so much, the thin plastic windows. And so now I'm noticing this window has a red painted, piece of frame holding the window down. Now this is definitely a decal, this number 24. That wrinkliness you can see. I don't know if they had a choice, because they're literally spanning the gap across the rear window. I don't think they could tampo print that without messing it all up. Right? They might crush the actual window if they used a tampo printer. Yeah, so they had to use a decal here. And they can't do it under the clear coat because then the window would become all cloudy from the clear coat. So I can totally understand that decal. It's perfectly fine. I couldn't think of a better way, but leave a comment again if you can. Alright, so now we got whatever these little two vents are. Why they're so close to the rear end, I don't know, but it looks like maybe there's either paint or more likely a separate piece of plastic or metal. Because it looks like this one is a different angle than this one. And the separation of black to red is so good. Alright, anything else? Rivet marks there. I think that's it. Yeah, there's a lot of mysterious parts on this, though, in particular this thing. It looks like a hand grab, like a really fast handle, but it would be so unaerodynamic to just, see, it looks like a handle, but why would you just graft that on to the side? I mean, you could just open it by the window opening, or you can open it right here, you know, but in this vent area. So, yeah, it is a little bit curious as to why that's on there. I'm sure it's on the real car, or was on the real car, since I'm sure the real car doesn't exist anymore. Very, very nice. I was a little worried, because DMH has let me down before with their Enzo, which I'll show you in a moment. Alright, time to show off some other models. I think this can go slower. Nope, that's faster. This is the slowest setting. It's kind of... it's not very smooth, sorry. We got 3 Kyoshos. So here is the Ford GT40 from the third place finisher of Le Mans. And it's a Mark II GT40. I really wish a premium brand, or now, I really wish a resin company would put out a GT40. You know, the GT40s were far more dominant than the P3, P4s. So why? Come on, guys. Right now, I think that is the best GT40 out there, the Kyoshos, but they're extremely expensive on eBay. Alright, so this is a Kyosho as well, and this is 1967 330 P4, but now this is the open top one. So this would be the casting of the car that won Daytona in this year. It just doesn't have that livery. So it's just going to have, you know, these like plain side windows. Yeah, that's why I ended up buying the coupe. It just has more detail. And then, so this is the number 24 car by Kyosho. Right, but it's got a yellow stripe on it, so it's not the Daytona livery. I would assume it's just a different race in the season. And you know, it's still pretty nice. It's got great details. It doesn't have a wing sticking out as far or as thin because it's metal, and obviously the bullet mirrors are just now casted in. But these Kyoshos are probably like $6 or $7 when they're new, so I think they're fantastic. Kyosho's a great brand. It's a real shame they just seem to have abandoned 164. They just don't care. They don't release new collections. Okay, well, let's get those two over here. Or actually, this is the closest one, so let's put that right next to that. Let's let this spin around on the low view. Alright, and the more high view. I mentioned DMH letting me down as this Enzo because I do feel bad for the folks that have to put these things together. You know, it would be so difficult to put these together. But this badge is all warped, you know, that's not nice. I think that was the main detractor, but this, how this lens cover is attached, is so jagged and rough with glue, you know, it's very messy. So for the cost of these resins, I expect perfection, but minus those minor points is still pretty nice. You know, these exhausts are metal tubes. They have to be. They're so thin yet so round, and you can see the jaggedness. That's the saw blade, you know. It would have been cool if they actually took some sandpaper and polished those edges, but not the case. And then what's going on with this badge in the rear? It is there, it's fine. Alright, so I guess the main issue with DMH was, you know, the Ferrari logo is pretty important on a model, and that thing I just shouldn't, I think they should have let that go. Alright, let's put that up there. It's also got a really big wooden base. I'm not sure, I'm not a fan of the wooden bases so much. I'd just rather have a piece of acrylic. Let's see, a different brand doing some resin Ferraris, this scale mini one, and I really like the paint job on this one. You know, the 3 colors of the Italian flag. This is a Liberty Walk kit on it. You can see the brake calipers of this one. Nice engine printing details on that stuff. We'll let that guys go for a spin. Try to make room for one more. This one is, man, there's no brand on this. It's one of those fly-by-night operations, so I don't know who makes this thing. But it's the SP1 Monza, and I just like it because it's a cool car. The model itself was done pretty well. You know, I like the stripe here, and then this blue metallic is nice. The Ferrari badge on this one was much better. It was pretty pricey though. The scale mini wasn't that pricey, and it was probably the cheapest of all the ones here, and yet it still has great detail. But it's also oddly the plainest looking Ferrari, even with the Liberty Walk kit. I think I like the design of these 3 far more. At the beginning of this video I thought I was going to bash on DMH, but I changed my mind. This is a fantastic model, even with the exhaust. That exhaust might be a shipping problem. Maybe someone dropped the case this thing was shipped in, and you know, that's why it may have broken a little bit loose. But I'm pretty sure I can fix that. The details on this are definitely very high up there as far as you know, 1/64 scale resin. This possibly might be the most technically advanced model in my entire collection. This, yeah, I don't know if it's more than the Apollo Intenza, but there's so many parts on this. It's probably the most parts count also, and then yeah, it's almost flawless minus that you know, that exhaust pipe. Oh, with the wheels, the little flashing inside those wheel openings. Yeah, that's not great either. I might again take it off the base. Maybe I'll even take it apart and take a hobby knife and trim out that extra gold. Alright guys, thanks for watching today, and unfortunately resin models don't come out often, so I simply can't have many videos of resin models. I'm not going to have duplicates when they cost this much money, so I try to just have one unique casting of each. But if you don't feel like spending as much money on this, the Kyoshos would probably cost less, although they're still pretty pricey on eBay. You know, everything's pricey on eBay. Those things are long out of production, so that's why. Alright, well, let's hope that some resin company takes on the GT40, because I think that's a far more impressive car than this thing. So let's hope for the best. Well, I'll just show you anyways. So there's 2 rubber washers, spacers, to keep the tires from getting flat spotted. There's a shorter screw in the front of the body, a longer screw going into the back of the body, and then the bottom of this thing we have 2 different size screws. These 2 larger ones here in the rear, but in the front we have these 2 really small screws here, and this is the one that goes through the base plate, that one as well. I am noticing this like a crazy glue dot there, so I didn't want to mess around with trying to get this base off. I think it's actually glued in place. I was trying to mess with that wheel with the extra flash, and it turns out there is a photo etched metal brake rotor in the black calipers in the rear. So, and then I noticed on the tire there's actually a glue spot here. See? So it's not much, there isn't much axle grabbing the wheels, so I think it's glued in place. It's obviously not meant to roll. It's too much detail. Okay, well, so anyways, that's if you have some quality problems. So for this exhaust, I just held it, put in the general location. I put out some crazy glue, and I just put some on the tip of one of these, and I just spread it around that joint. So you really can't even see it, and it's pretty much straight now. So, alright, see you guys.